In this particular hour is going to be with Dr. Ekuru Aukot, and like I told you, he is a lawyer, party leader, Thirdway Alliance Kenya. Politics versus the needs of the people. What will transform Kenya indeed? Daktari, good morning. Happy New Year. Tunasema Happy New Year until the end of March.
Happy New Year to you, Mbuvi. Happy New Year, City. First of all, let me say my apologies for missing your last two invitations. They're all based on matters health.
Yeah.
But eventually I'm here.
But
for the avoidance of doubt, I sent him evidence of what I was going through.
No. This guy had an allergic reaction that was horrible.
Yes. Allergic?
Yes. If you looked at the picture, you would think that he was a victim of police brutality.
Oh, pole sana.
No, he was actually unwell.
Yeah.
Everything that could be puffed up on his head was puffed up. His eyes, his nose, his lips. He was looking bad.
Do you know me? I don't have an allergic reaction to anything.
At
least not yet. I have not found anything.
Paul,
yes.
You don't have an allergic reaction to any food stuff that you know of. I don't say anything.
But siti nimekula vitu mingi sana.
That's why I'm saying food stuff.
Pia nimetumia vitu mingi sana na hazijaniathiri.
Let's focus on food stuff, shall we?
Yeah, food allergy can actually kill you. But if it goes to your nostrils, you're dead.
Yes.
So you rushed to hospital and
I took an antihistamine immediately and I called my doctor and
akakusaidia.
Yeah. But it went on after a day.
All right. Pole sana.
Yes,
but now we are glad that you're okay, and most importantly that you're here today.
Yes.
How is Thirdway Alliance?
Thirdway Alliance is there. We, as you know, that we are one of those parties that the so-called big parties call fringe parties or small parties. But we are very proud of who we are because we stand on principles.
Yes.
We are not swayed by these, populism that actually, at the end of the day, doesn't really bear any fruits for the country.
Okay.
Doesn't bring the kind of change that you want to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's about dancing on the podiums, insulting each other. But we stood our ground. We've been so reluctant. We've been invited to join some of these coalitions, but I say again, if you study the history of coalitions anywhere else in the world, look at, for example, Germany survived on coalitions for many, many years, but you can see the benefit that those coalitions bring to their people. If it is health, medical health, free education. Look at Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu survived on coalitions for a long time. But at the end of the day, what coalitions do is they place the interests of the country and the people first. It's not about self-preservation compared to, for example, our kind of coalitions. We've had many coalitions in Kenya, probably right from 1997 with was it NDP being swallowed by the Jogo, and then came 202.
Was it LDP or NDP?
I think it was NDP. Maybe CT can remind us. It was NDP.
Okay.
1997.
Chamagani.
Ile Raila. Yes.
It was N or L?
No, it was NDP.
No. L.
LDP came much later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look at those coalitions, it's about, and so the genius of Kenya's coalitions is that you've got a failing government, promising heaven and earth, but delivers hell on Kenyans. So because there are somebody out there who is making them unstable, like for example, in the name, for example, the late Raila Odinga.
Yes.
So what the genius of Kenya's politics is that they will bring in the noisemaker out there into government, and then they'll concoct a false narrative that Kenya is on the brink of collapse. Kenya is want peace, wants sustainability, and Kenyans at war. But the ordinary Kenyan is not at war with each other. Actually, the war that Kenyans are waging right now is against a failing government. A government that promises things that they cannot deliver.
But Daktari, how is it that a few people can convince millions of people of a reality that doesn't exist? For example, when you say they can come and convince us that we are at war, or a certain community is against this other community. How is it possible that a few individuals, whether they are MPs, senators, governors, can convince multitudes, millions of people that this is the situation?
So there are two ways I can explain that. Number one, you have to look at the nature of our politics historically. Our politics is so tribal, it's so regional, and because of that ethnicity factor in our politics, so that even when a leader is a thief, you'll see the community behind him saying that you are lynching one of our own. So there is a degree of mediocrity among us as Kenyans that we do not learn that once one of our own is there, symbolically he represents us as a people. It's a false narrative, and it's all embedded on this ethnicity, affiliation. So that's one of the major problems that we have. But secondly, also, the politics in Kenya has created a state of desperation over many decades. I don't know that you remember the story, the history of the house Negro and the field Negro.
Yes, I do.
So you have the house Negro thinking that he's better off than the field Negro.
Yeah.
But they all share one denominator. They are all slaves.
Right.
Yeah. So the house Negro eats the crumbs from the master. So the field Negro toils. So what the Kenyan politics has done is has created a state of desperation, of despair, so that Kenyans have become so desperate. Whoever comes and gives even, for example, 50 bob. I followed the by-election in Mbeere North.
Yes.
You saw how a whole governor had the audacity to go to a supermarket, buy sweets,
Yeah.
and actually distribute it to
Yes.
adults. So I think for me, it is also about the Kenyan psyche. Why is it that Kenyans, and yet we pride ourselves as one of the most educated countries in sub-Saharan Africa, comparatively.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the studies show that perhaps I think Zimbabwe has beaten us in terms of per capita, in terms of education. So there is something fundamentally wrong with the Kenyan society that believing in lies. But I am not a pessimist. I'm an optimist because if I look at the events that unfolded from 2024 with the Gen Z movement opposing the finance bill and even 2025, there is a change in our country, that there is a generation of Kenyans that are coming up to say, yes, you have put us in this state of despair for a longer period of time. We are tired. We no longer care. You can kill us if you care, if you want, but we are not going to relent. So there is hope in a newer generation of Kenyans. Thirdly, I will say that Kenyans, I think, are people who are reluctant to learn from their circumstances. And let me explain this using President William Ruto's presidency.
Okay.
You see, I have said it many times, and people have kind of criticized me, that I believe that William Ruto's presidency is a blessing in disguise for the country.
How so?
Yeah. You see, for the longest time, we've been treated to certain dynasties, certain families, monopolizing leadership in Kenya. Of course, what comes to mind, the Kenyatas, the Odingas, and therefore they become part of the system.
Yes.
They galvanize, first of all, the regions they come from, the tribes they come from, and of course now they spread that to other parts of the country, and they become very popular. So they became the...
Moi, bro.
And Moi, sorry. And Moi. So now, so if you look at, for example, even when, in fact, thanks City for reminding me that, and someone like President Moi, the late President Moi, used to brag and say that Kanu will rule Kenya for 100 years. And to some extent, he was right. I'm not sure we are at the 100th year yet. but if you look at the surrogates they created along the way, the William Rutos now, the Mudavadis, the Kalonzos, and all those are surrogates of the system.
Please throw in Uhuru while we're at it.
Yeah, Uhuru, of course, Uhuru is supposed to be part of the dynasty.
He has done his part.
He has done his part.
Exactly. Him, he's in that group of dynasties.
Yes.
Now we're talking about the others.
The others.
But he's part of the dynasty.
Yes, so we're talking about the surrogates who actually grew under that system that actually, undermined Kenyans, even independence promise of eradicating disease, ignorance, and poverty. So today, the reason I say William Ruto is a blessing in disguise, and I tie it with the idea that Kenyans are not fast learners when it comes to matters politics for change, politics for transformation, because they ought to say, look at President William Ruto today, right from 1992, YK 1992, up to, William Ruto is the longest elected politician living alive in the history of Kenya.
Really?
Yes. From 1997, he has never lost an election. Wow. When he ran for Eldoret North.
He hasn't.
He has not.
By the way.
The only other person closer to him is Oburu Odinga. Right now. Yes. Oburu Odinga has done it since 2004. 32 years. William Ruto...
There was a gap there when Oburu Odinga was nominated. He wasn't necessarily elected.
Well, but he's still been in parliament. Okay.
If we're talking about being in parliament, then you are right.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look at, for example, President William Ruto is a product a surrogate of those dynasties and the system. And now people are saying, I think we are back to Kanu era. And you can see the fraternization among these people. They will pretend publicly that they hate each other. And hence you will see, they will say, they will throw in words like, there are no permanent enemies in politics, but it's about their self-preservation. While at the meantime, the problems that Kenyans are going through, and I just did a list and I can just mention them.
Please do.
If you look at, for example, the problems Kenyans are going through, food insecurity. It's a big factor. I don't know about you, Mbuvi and CT. Some of us who have expressed interest in leadership, we get requests every day. Can you imagine somebody asking you, my kids have not ate for the last 2 days. Please send me 200 bob. You are maybe in a social place. With 200 bob, you cannot even buy a bottle of water.
True.
But you can imagine that is money somebody is asking you, pegging it on the fact that kids have not eaten. A parent will call you and tell you, my kid needs to go to school. So like yesterday, I received a lot of messages. Oh, children have to go to school, have to go to college. I just need transport. So I asked this one parent, so if I give you transport, which I'm happy to do, how about the school fees? How will you handle the school fees? Because the kid will go to school, and then after maybe a few weeks, they'll be sent back home.
Yes.
Then you'll be wondering again, how does the kid get back home? Because they don't have transport. Then you'll be worried about again how the kid goes back to school over and above the school fees. A college student called me the other day and told me I've not eaten for 2 days. And this is reality because I've chaired JK Art Council for 3 years and interacted with students, college students, university students.
Yes.
And I know what they are going through. That's how children go through, get into drugs, into prostitution.
Yeah.
That is the state of... So when we talk about the state of our nation, we must talk about the state of the person, of the Kenyan, what they are going through. So food, I said food.
Yes.
Education. Can you imagine the pain of a parent just seeing a child sitting at home and not being in school? This is the conversation I had with another parent just the other day. It pains them more to just see. They are helpless. They are not able to do it. And yet education is one of the biggest investments any country can actually give to its people. Health. We fundraise for medical bills every day. Every day. So when a political class say that SHA is a success, for some of us who are grounded, we work with people at the grassroots because this is a macro conversation.
Yes.
But if you go to the micro, really, that's when you begin to see how actually our country is failing. Because if you cannot provide people food security, health matters, education, leave alone even matters development. That's grandiose. Look at the national debt, for example. I was just reading about Atlanta, a stadium built with 48 billion Kenya shillings, and somebody was comparing it with, for example, stadiums like Manchester United, Maracana in Brazil, and and others. That kind of amount of money, and by the time we pay, interest comes in, it's going to about 148 billion Kenya shillings. This is not for you and me. We are lucky to have reached the age that we are today. But this is a burden that our children and their children will have to bear without a clear proposal or pathway on how we can fix it. So this is a sad thing. Look at things like theft of public resources.
Yeah.
President will, at least to Uhuru's, credit. He came out openly and said that we are losing 2 billion every day. That is 700 billion.
But Dr. how is that to his credit?
Well, at least he confessed. Because I think...
Because he even said, "Nataka nifanye nini?"
Yeah, because I think that, CT, other than camouflaging it and hiding it, at least it's important that you've got a leader who owns up and says, this is what's happening.
Essentially owns up that he's helpless.
Exactly. But that's not where he goes wrong. Because, like President William Ruto said, that he's a consumer of raw intelligence. If you're a consumer of raw intelligence and you know that 2 billion is being stolen every day, and in fact, Ruto also repeated the same thing. It's
now 3 billion.
3 billion. So, what are you doing about it? Because you are burdening Kenyans on this debt, on this theft of resources. And nobody in this administration wants to use the Auditor General report. Because the Auditor General spends at least 6 months investigating your development projects. The money that you are given. For example, as in Turkana, and I will use my own native county, we have now received upwards of 100 billion Kenya shillings. since 2013.
And there's evidence that this 100 billion has actually been used in the county of Turkana.
Maybe you land into Lodwar town, you'll see some street lights, a bit of tarmac there and there, but drive maybe 2-3 kilometers outside Lodwar town. People have no water. You see abject poverty.
Where has 100 billion in Turkana?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the $1 million
Did
question.
you finish, that county headquarters, was it ever completed?
I am not sure, to be honest. I am not sure. I'm not sure. So, I mean, and I on social media, I follow, for example, some of the activists. For example, there's a lady called Nasra Ahmed, and then there's a lady called Shangazi. She's based in Kakuma. Nasra, I think, recently was doing some work in northeastern, and she posted images of a family, an old man, basically sleeping outside. So she threw in a number where we all threw in money, and she's building a house for this mzee. Okay. Shangazi has built 47 homes in Kakuma. So when you talk about affordable housing, yeah, which is being propagated by this government, to who is that affordable housing targeting? If today you go to Kibra, Madare, Mukuru Kwanjenga, you know, and ask those people, yes, there are these skyscrapers, affordable housing. Can they afford them? The answer is no. It's the biggest scam in the history of Kenya. So that's one of the problems that Kenyans are going through, just housing alone. And even look at this city. You can see water buzzers all over in a city like Nairobi.
Actually, we spoke about it yesterday.
Yeah. And then, of course, the other problem Kenyans are going through is political conmanship. That they are subjected every day by leaders. Leaders who say, I want to transform your life, I will change your life. Members of parliament are holding on to the Constituency Development Fund. This is a function of the county government. If you look at Schedule 4 of the Constitution, you know, functions of government have been divided into national and county government. There is no function called development at the county level. Yeah. This should be left to the governors. But see, the CDF kitty is a campaign tool, and you do not actually see the result of it. In fact, the only thing they dangle is bursaries.
Actually,
yet
no.
there is a problem with education.
Dr. No. CDF, NGCDF as it's called now, build classrooms. There are things they have done. I support the NGCDF, even when we were told it was illegal. And the reason is because I have seen what it has done. I have actually witnessed, so it's not something that I've read. The point you make are valid, Daktari. The thing that bothers me with the discussion we're having is all these things are happening, and the people who are making it happen are very few.
Yeah.
The vast majority of us, are we 56 or 58 million? Including
60.
children?
I think we're 60 now.
Yes, okay. Why is it that we seem to be comfortable with all this?
You know, CT, I disagree with you to some extent.
No, I want you to disagree with me completely, because then it makes for a good discussion.
Yes.
Disagree with me.
So, no, I think you are right to some extent to say that, you know, when you say that there are few people who are actually doing well with their CDF. Very few. They are actually negligible compared to the 291 constituencies and members of parliament. So, comparatively, honestly, the few members of parliament who are actually injecting that CDF money into development, they are exceptional. You know, as we say in law, for every general rule, there is always an exception. So there are exceptional members of parliament who are actually doing well in their constituencies with the CDF. For example, you know, the governor of Muranga,
Irungu
Kangata, did fantastically well with the CDF. And even right now what he's doing in Muranga, even with the feeding program in schools and all that, people are benchmarked. He's doing fantastically well. But if you compare it with others, and that's why I say, if you're to bring in the Auditor General report and say, okay, Governor X, you are given this amount of money. MP X, you're given this amount of money. What have you done with this showcase? For me, the reason why I'm opposed to CDF is because it is making members of parliament lazy. They are going into the arena of the governors who are supposed to be undertaking development at the county level. I would like governors to concentrate on their three cardinal roles of representation,
oversight,
legislation, and oversight. Okay? So they can call both the governors, the government of the day, ministers, PSS into account. That is missing. You see, the reason, and the High Court of Kenya actually declared CDF unconstitutional. You know, so if I was a member of parliament,
then the Court of Appeal did something different.
I don't seem to have followed that.
They did.
No, what they did, I think they suspended the nullification for a period of time to allow completion of the projects that have been started under the CDF.
Okay.
There was a suspension. But otherwise, generally, if I was a member of parliament today, I will not bother myself with the development issues. I'll bother myself with those roles. People have sent me to the National Assembly. Yeah, I'll be asking my governor, why is Turkana East, where I come from, and does not have water, insecurity, roads? I'll be lobbying the national government to say that there is a road that needs to connect Kapedo all the way to Lodwar, to Lokichar, to the oil fields of Lokichar.
Yeah.
That should be my role in parliament. I should be putting in motions. But the moment you go into this development, you're actually losing your own role. But allow me now to turn into the politics, because this is a bit about Kenya's problems and politics.
Yes.
If you look at the nature of politics, like I hinted earlier, it is so ethnicized, it's so balkanized, it's so regionalized. But at the end of the day, there is no benefit that actually accrues to the people. Our politics is politics of deceit. And that's why you will see people in government today, in national government, have been oscillating between this one political party every election to this, to that, meaning they have no principle, they have no stand whatsoever. And then, of course, politics in Kenya has been commercialized. It's about money. If you do not have money, Paul,
yes,
Kenyans will wonder, I mean, unataka nini? When I ran for president in 2017, the first question that even my contemporary asked me, two questions. Ekuru, but you're from the Turkana community. How many votes do you have?
Had they just discovered that you're from the Turkana community?
That's what surprised me, that you're from the Turkana community. How many votes do you have? As if the Turkanas are the only people who can put me into position of leadership, into presidency. I see if I become president of Kenya, I can only serve the Turkana people. But you can see that narrative movie.
Yes.
You know, right now, Kalonzo is hanging on the coat of the canvas. The former deputy president, Rigiji, the Kikuyu, is talking about Murima. William Ruto, obviously.
And we're actually not certain of that number of his, but yes.
Yes, yeah, but whatever. But he's driving that narrative.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, you have people like Nyanza after Raila. I think in Mesambaratika, you don't even know where they are headed. So you have got the Babu, the Sifunas, the Orengos, you have got the Oburu Odinga. So, you know, the party is going with the leader.
You're right.
Luhyas, I think he's confused. Mara it's Natembea, Eugene Wamalwa, I don't know, Mudavadi, of course, has no leg even in his own Vihiga. Yeah, because even his MCA is not from his own party.
The speaker?
Tangula, I think he's here, neither here nor there. Okay. I think Natembea is dealing him a very big blow. So you see, people are regionalized, and you see that narrative for me is dangerous. It's a narrative that never will give us a nation state.
Why not?
It cannot, because you see a nation state about unity of a people. We are I will say, we are a conglomerate of ethnic identities that found ourselves within a geographical location called Kenya. But we cannot pride ourselves and say that we are Kenya. I'll give you the example of the American people, or even the British. The Americans are a very divided society. In fact, they have killed each other more than even Al-Qaeda and terrorism has. But when an American is out here, he's American. There is that pride of being an American. There is that pride of being a British national. Singapore, there is that pride of being a Singaporean. You know,
Chinese and all.
Chinese, closer home, Rwanda. You see Rwandese. I mean, not say that everything is comfortable in Rwanda, you know, especially after the genocide. But you meet Rwandese people. If you go to Rwanda today, one of the mistakes you'll make is to ask somebody whether you are Tutsi or Hutu. They take offense because they don't want to go that path. They have built a certain commonality as a nation. Now in Kenya, the only time we come closer to being a nation state is when our athletes make us proud. When you see Rugby 7, what they do, Harambee Stars. Well, not even Harambee Stars does not necessarily, but look at the athletes. You know, when they win, people forget. It doesn't care whether it's a Kiprono or a Kiprotich or whatever. But that time you can see the sense of pride, and you know. And recently I watched the rugby, for example. You can see that is the closest actually we come to it. But when it comes to politics, we recoil back. I come from northern Kenya. I come from western Kenya.
I have to ask, why do you think this is a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because it doesn't bring unity to the country. And that's why, for example, even if you look at, for example, the NADCO report, the narrative they have been propagating is that we need unity. You hear the political class himself says that we are going to this government, the handshake is to bring unity to Kenya, Kenya is at war, because they realize underneath that they have actually been dividing the country. But it is for their own preservation, for their own political survival, not for the country. And therefore, if we look at, for example, the formation that are happening right now politically, it does not give any hope to Kenyans. So, for example, when ODM is split like the way it is split today, and then you have got I don't know.
Are they split or are they realigning?
No, they are split. I think there are now 3 factions of ODM.
3?
Yes.
Is that not a good thing?
Well, but then you wonder, you ask yourself, what happened before Raila Amolo Odinga died? When I listen to those speeches, by the way, any of them who speaks, they only make sense by referencing the name Raila Amolo Odinga. They themselves, there is absolutely zero messaging that comes from them. As Orengo, for example, does Orengo tell us about himself without referring to Jacob? Sifuna, Kinababu. I like the fact that they have come out as a younger generation to say that now we need to take over the reins of power and leadership in this political party. Let the whole group actually, give us an opportunity. I like that. But what is their messaging? Other than just making reference to the fact that Baba, I wish as the leaders they can say, this is my transformational agenda for the country. This is what we want to do as a younger generation. Not just chanting, one term. Fine. Now, I agree with one term.
On that, we are in agreement. Because even you, who is the leader of the Thirdway Alliance, Doctor, let me ask this question. What happened? Because the message that you had when you came up with the Thirdway Alliance was just about the most progressive political message this country had ever heard. At least from my point of view, I said,
yes.
Just the term Punguza Migo, it resonated very well. In my mind, it resonates better than Ruto must go.
It did.
You know why?
Yeah.
You were referencing the economic hardships that people have, and you're saying, guys, this thing, we can't go on this way. What happened?
So, I'll tell you what happened. You see, when we came up with the idea of Punguza Migo, basically it was about reducing the burden of governance on Kenyans.
This was in 2019.
2019.
Right.
And it was actually the only successful constitutional proposal that went up to the 47 county assemblies. Even ODM, when they tried to okoa Kenya and all that, they failed. Kuria, Punda Mechoka failed. And they are all used against us to try and undermine the Punguza Migo. But our proposals are very clear. For example, do we need a large parliament the way we have today?
We do not.
Of 349 members of parliament. They were consuming about, at that time, 37.5 billion Kenya shillings annually. And we did comparison. Nairobi City, at that time, I think was about 6 million residents, if I'm not wrong. And they are only given, 11 billion, I think. So you give 6 million people 11 billion for everything in terms of development. But 348 people, or 49, consume 37.5 billion annually. It's not fair. Even if you look at the money that goes to the counties in terms of developing the counties. So Punguza Migo was actually saying, no, we need to question this. We don't need a large parliament. And we did a comparison, CT, if you recall. We compared, for example, India as a country. At that time, 1.3 billion people.
Yes.
With only 800 representatives for both houses.
Yes. You even went to compare
China.
Yes, and then you looked at the electoral system.
Yes.
And their so-called electoral board. And the numbers it had given that population. You compared all these things.
Yes, we did.
That's why my question, what happened?
So let me tell you now what happened. What happened is this. At the time, they saw that Punguza Migo was actually hitting the counties because they never believed that a small party like ours, and I told Sifuna one time in one of the shows, yes, we are very small and very proud to be a small party, but with big ideas. when they realized that Punguza Migo was actually going to the counties, and I was very lucky, and I want to thank Kenyans for actually supporting us during that time, because we had a pay bill where Kenyans put money. And I told my guys, we are not going to fly, we are going to go to hit the road. And we managed to go to 27 county assemblies to present the Punguza Migo Constitutional Amendment Bill of 2019. And in all those 27 counties, they actually did a mock vote, and it was yes. Now, the system came in hard on us. Remember, that's the time they now propose BBI, Building Bridges Initiative. And today I will not forgive Raila Odinga, may his soul rest in peace, and Uhuru Kenyatta, because they were the enemies of that bill at that time. They actually fought that bill so hard. They spent 1.5 billion Kenya shillings bribing MCS to shoot it down.
Why do you think they fought it so hard?
1 point what now?
1.5 billion. They were giving MCAs minimum of 100,000 to 250,000 per MCA.
Why?
The 1450 MCAs. And this was told to us, confessed to us by MCAs, including nominated guys.
Why do you think, if we were to believe what you're saying, why did they do what they did? What was the rationale?
Because the Punguza Migo Constitutional Bill was going to change the governance structure in this country. For example, there are going to be many casualties in terms of members of parliament. Our proposal was a maximum of 100 members of parliament. One woman, one man from all the 47 counties, making it 94. And then we invoked Article 100 of the Constitution on those special groups.
Wait.
Yes.
One woman, one man from each county to be members of parliament.
Exactly. And then now six members from the minority, people with disability, and the other group, 6 of them, making 100. And then we said one senator from all the 47 countries, a total of 147. And we are going to save, I think, about 3 billion. I don't remember the exact figure.
It was actually more than 3 billion.
Yes, it was more than 3. That we are going to make that saving. Then theft of public resources. We are saying that anybody who is adversely mentioned in matters corruption cannot run for public office. And we had put a timeline on when corruption cases must be concluded. And we said 30 days. And we worked with auditors and accountants. And we told accountants and auditors, tell me, if today CT is the governor of Siaya,
Kisumu County.
Oh, Kisumu County.
Yes.
Just an example.
No, I want an accurate example. I come from Kisumu County, so take me to Siaya.
I don't know why you don't seem to like Siaya.
No, I don't come from Siaya. I come from Kisumu County.
You see how passionate people about the region.
Yes, I mean, this guy is taking me.
Okay, so we have given CT 10 billion to do development in Kisumu County.
Yes.
So we asked auditors and accountants, if you audited CT and he had said, this is my development program, I'm going to build schools, I'm going to do a dam, I'm going to do roads, I'm going to do this, and he has not done that, how long will it take you as a witness on the stand to actually confirm that CT stole that money? Because the name corruption, and we even constructed the word corruption, by the way. We say in the Luo, what is corruption?
The word doesn't actually exist.
Exists. But if you're a thief, is called what in the Luo?
Jakuo.
Yeah? Jakuo.
Yes.
In Kamba?
Kingeli.
Yes. In Turkana, you say Ekokolan. You're a thief.
No, you guys have a nice word, Ekokolan.
Yeah.
I think they're actually describing the person's activities.
Exactly.
Yes.
He stole. Theft. So the accountant and auditors told us, I do not even need 10 minutes. I just need to refer the judge to the audit report.
Yes.
I spend this time. We ask them to confirm this, and that person should be in jail. You tell me, the political class will have accepted that? Elections. We said, let's automate our election. We compared it with the M-Pesa transactions that we do every day. At that time, we were transacting about 25 billion Kenyan shillings per day on M-Pesa.
Do you know that comparison was one of the most enlightening comparisons I came across? You know why? You take something everybody thinks is complex, and you say, but it's not very different from what you do every day.
Exactly. So I can send you movies today, 300,000 Kenyan shillings from my phone.
Yes.
Yeah? And if it goes the wrong number, it will not go through. I can even reverse it.
Yes.
Now, when we did Punguza Migo, we worked with an IT guy. And he built a system where you go to our website and say, I want to support Punguza Migo. You start by your names, your ID, as in the voter register.
Right.
If you get it wrong, you won't go to the next stage. You pick your county. You have a drop-down, but, you pick your county, Turkana.
Yes.
You pick my constituency, Turkana East, my polling station, Kapedo Primary School Girls. You know, and then I sign electronically.
Yes.
I submit. I get a certificate saying I'm supporter number 1,000, supporter number 100. We backed it up. They tried to hack it, but we know we're working with IT guys. Eventually, we got 1.4 million. But because they did not want this process to go on, they tried to change it. Eventually, they could not go below 1.2 million. Those are the registered voters actually supported Punguza Migo.
Right.
It was going to change the total narrative in this country. You know, we are going to simplify election voting. And we are saying, why can't I vote using my phone?
But Dr. Why are you saying it was going to change? Because it actually did change. Your process had serious support, tangible, live support.
Yeah.
If indeed Uhuru and Raila Odinga came up with a project that was to counter yours, that is further confirmation to what you're saying.
But they did come with BBI, and it didn't fly. But I got so angry with all of them, and I said,
why?
"What? I'm going to fight you all the way to the Supreme Court." And indeed, we fought them all the way to the Supreme Court until BBI failed. In fact, if you look at all the prayers before the Supreme Court, 7 out of 9 were from Thirdway Alliance Kenya that the Supreme Court actually agreed with. You know, so you know, again, going back to the politics versus the people's problems, because we were addressing the people's problem. For example, we were saying in that Punguza Migo, let's use the ward as the primary unit of accelerating development, because then you take services to the people's very doorstep. Today,
that was the idea, but yes, yeah.
Today, money goes to the county in the hope that it will be redistributed to the wards.
It disappears at the governor's office.
It just ends there. And Punguza Migo was saying we now need devolution beyond county headquarters. In fact, we were even arguing, do we actually need the 47 counties in Kenya? But we need the 1450 wards. I'll give you an example. In my student days in England, I never knew who my member of parliament was.
Member of parliament when you're in England?
Yes.
Okay.
I never knew.
The UK MP.
Yes.
Uko namjua.
Siko namjua.
Okay.
But I related closely what is called a local authority.
Yes.
Equivalent of the ward. So the local authority is responsible, for example, is the bus on time, the train, garbage collection.
Yeah.
You know, certain basic things, job opportunities. So you go to a labor office, you know, at your local authority, firefighting, you know. So those are the basic things that people are concerned about. Members of parliament will go to the House of Commons, go make noise. And they used to send us a penal notice during election that you must vote. Because you're enjoying the services, must help us pick the right leader. And if you don't vote, the fine then at that time was, I think, £100.
If you don't vote?
Yes. So you must participate in election and you must elect the right responsible leader.
Wait a minute.
Because you are enjoying the services.
Are you saying that in England, voting is compulsory?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
It's not like Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it is an illegality, meaning iko shida. This one, it is should use a gentle coercion. Yes.
Usipovote kuna pesa unatoa.
Unapata under your table.
Yes.
Unapata ka penal notice.
Ile Australia unafungwa. Hiyo ndio tofauti.
Australia utafungwa.
Utafungwa.
Kama kupiga kura.
Utafungwa. It's compulsory.
Yes.
I mean compulsory doesn't have two meanings.
But you see, they were encouraging people participate in the public affairs of your society.
How do we achieve that here?
Well, you see, the only way we can achieve that here is by having transformational leadership. You see, going back to the politics and leadership in Kenya, unfortunately, Mbuvi, we have a leadership in this country that is has no self-love, self-worth. You know, as I was driving here, and I was asking myself, I'm looking at Kindaruma Road, Kilimani. Look at the state of the roads.
Potholes. Kuna places hata hakuna barabara.
Imagine.
Sijui kama umeenda hivi Marcus Garvey.
Yes. This is Nairobi city, honestly. Look at the kind of development. And you see, I was asking myself, if I was Sakaja in charge of Nairobi, I will approve for you to build your high-rise apartments. But because of the construction, you end up spoiling the road. You must rehabilitate that road. That must be a condition precedent that you must sign into. You must clean this city. You know.
Is he actually capable?
Well, he's our governor.
Yes, I understand. You see, it takes us back to the question that we often do not ask. Every time we talk about politicians who are voted into office, we assume they are leaders. But they're just politicians who've been voted into office. And leadership cannot begin and end with politicians. We have made this the norm in this country. When people talk about leaders, you talk about politicians. Most of these fellows are not leaders. Because if they were, then these discussions about the shortfalls of what we don't or don't have wouldn't really arise. Sakaja was elected. He is the governor. But Nairobi has citizens who have leaders. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Karangata Association, they have leaders.
Yes.
They have fought the county government from the times of Kidero.
I remember.
Yes, exactly. And they still stand firm. They are clear about certain things. It is leadership. There's this community of people who have something they feel is dear to them, and they are not going to allow you. Kilimani also began that fight. Them, they've lost it. The people who live within Kilimani also had that sort of association. When you have civic action among the citizenry, it is a form of leadership. One, you're informing the rest of the country, look, we're not going to put up with this. With your process of Punguza Migo, you opened the eyes of Kenyans to think that prior to your movement, Kenyans had not seen in the light that you presented it. Now, if I juxtapose it with whatever it is that was brought about by the late Raila Odinga and Uhuru, and whatever then followed with whatever formation that we now have, they were entrenching the status quo.
Absolutely.
But I asked a question earlier, and I'm going back to it. When I asked, how many are we? Why is it that the rest of us simply want to keep quiet, even when something that could have changed our lives is brought into being, it is fought, we are still quiet?
You know,
why?
You know, one of the biggest problems we have in Kenya is our non-participation in politics. Because we think that politics, people say that politics is a dirty game. Politics is about public life. It's about the things that we've just listed here. Education, health, development, you know, all those things, your own security. So from policy decisions, affects you, the prices of unga, the prices of beans and all that. You know, I remember. Let me use two examples of scholars. I remember Plato saying that one of the consequences of refusing to participate in politics is that you'll be governed by your inferiors.
True.
Think about Kenya today. Some of the people who are the face of leadership today, who are they? Even the fact that their education is questionable. You begin to wonder, why did I go to school? If these are the people now who are actually the face of leadership in our country.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, they become billionaires overnight. Then there was another man called Bertolt Brecht, a German, who talked about the political illiterates. And he said that political illiterates are the worst people in a country. Because of their non-participation in politics, they say that politics is dirty, I don't want to participate. But they do not know. From politics comes the prices of unga, nini, prostitution, whatever, and all those kind of things. You know, the lackeys of corruption and all that. So, so, City, you are spot on. People do not, especially our so-called generation, we suffer from myopia. We think that because maybe I drive a nice car, I live in a nice apartment, say in Kilimani, I don't know, I live in Lavington, Runda, or wherever, I don't want to participate in politics. But they do not know. I mean, I'll give you an example.
Do you know abstaining is participation?
Well, you can abstain. Fine.
It is, I'm calling it participation.
Yes.
The last election is the best example of this. We keep talking
8
about
million people that didn't vote.
Exactly. Now,
You know.
Had they voted, we don't know how.
But I agree. But to some extent, we analyze that. We analyze that in our party. Why did 8 million people stay away? Because that was a winning vote.
By itself, yes.
The reason...
They actually won the election.
Yeah, the reason actually these people stayed away because they did not see any credible candidate. People are dejected People are dejected. And if you look at, for example, and I've said it many times,
Yeah.
if you had Raila Amolo Odinga...
Why were they dejected, Doctor? You have to ask that question.
Yeah, because they have reached a state of desperation that they do not see anything new that comes from the same leadership. Some of us were locked out, and I know I was locked out from that 2022 election because my campaign was simple. I didn't have a manifesto. My manifesto was going to be the Punguza Migo bill. That was my manifesto.
Who locked you out? And
IBC, the same IBC that cleared me in 2017.
they said what this time?
Said that I did not garner a requisite number of signatures. Yet I had over 52. And they said that these people have to be registered in a party. I went to court and I won the case eventually.
But this is after you had been locked out.
Yeah, after I've been locked out. But I said we need to correct this false narrative. Because when you become a president, you don't become a president of the members of your political party. You are a president of the people of Kenya. That's the reason I was locked out. And then they said that my check was written IEBC. We did the same thing in 2017.
What should it have been written as?
They say in Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission.
So essentially, even if you had written it as Electoral and Boundaries Commission, you would have said you should have written IEBC.
Yes.
You are never going to win this thing, were you?
Yeah. Listen, they could have still told me, go and rectify. Just like the way they gave Wajakoya an opportunity to go, and I think there was another guy also, they gave the opportunity. For us, we had met all the criteria, except now those two issues they said. But on the issue of signature, the court absolved us and said, no, IBC was wrong. On the check, that was rubbish. I mean, you could have just told me, go and rectify. Bring us a new check.
They have that discretion, don't they?
Of course they do. Just the same way they had discretion to tell Wajakoya, you've not gathered enough signatures, can you go? And they actually gave him an opportunity because they needed a weak, just a flower girl to fill in the ballot. The ballot.
Wajakoya had some nice things to say.
Well, you cannot sell Bangi as a manifesto.
No, when he was the referencing of vegetables was okay. Me, I went along with that one. And even the snake venom, I went along with that one. Where he lost me was the medicinal value of hyena testicles. That one, that's where now I couldn't understand.
No, but City, I will be honest with you. I mean, you can correct me. I know that in the 2022 election, they did not want anybody else who is an outlier in terms of fresh ideas. And that's part of the reason why I was locked out.
I have to ask this question, Dr.
Yeah.
You enter an arena. You know you are a Kenyan. Yes, you're abroad for a while, but you're here. You know how our politics is. Well, I mean, why didn't you have safeguards? You knew you were going to be challenged. You knew. When you set off on the course, that you... Look, let me bring it to the present now. There's a discussion about the role that Uhuru is now playing in the politics of the now. But it brings to question, do we have an Uhurutu moment again?
Actually, we do.
And if we do, then one wouldn't be wrong if one said that we are now further entrenching the status quo. And the status quo, arguably, is why we're having this discussion. That's why we are where we are.
So, City, I agree with you that, and that's why I keep on saying, these people do not want, this is the system, the way it has been entrenched. The system does not want anybody who can awaken Kenyans. That's part of the reason why I was fought so hard in the Punguza Migo. In fact, they went beyond that, just fighting Punguza Migo. They tried to take away the party from me. They even bribed members of my National Executive Council to try and kick me out. I remember, yes. To fight. And all that was just to make sure. And you see, we had many people who wanted to run with Thirdway. But see, because of that msukosuko, people are now wondering, where is Thirdway? Is it a part? And we had offered, for example, the youth free certificates to run. We are not interested in money for the certificate. Those are simple, easy things we can print from even our offices. So long as we give them and we wanted as many young people as possible to run from MCA, MP, governor and all that. Just to give them that freedom of go out there and tell your story.
Now, 2019 Punguza Migo was a very big deal.
It was.
Yeah. In 2017, you also ran for president.
Yes.
And successfully. In 2022, well, whatever happened,
Yes.
happened. Are you planning to do something in 27?
I am planning. In fact, we had a meeting just the other day with we had an NDC for my party, where we were putting in together a team of the National Executive Committee, and of course, as a as a party leader of Thirdway Alliance Kenya, I have an obligation and duty to take the party to an election.
Yes.
And for me, I would still do it. I'll still do it because one of the problems, and maybe to see these questions, why are we not changing? For long CT, majority of us, especially the so-called educated elite or the working class, have been bystanders. I am not desperate. I won't die. It won't kill me if I don't become Kenya's president. But I must add my voice on how I want this country best governed.
You know,
I wish as many of us as possible can actually come out.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can enlighten Kenyans to look at us and critically analyze us and say, who do we actually think can actually prop this country forward?
You know, I look at what Kenya Kwanza is doing through UDA. Of course, now they're trying to capture ODM in whatever ways that they're trying. By capture, I mean they're trying to have a coalition with them, and perhaps even many other like-minded parties. Then we have the United Opposition. I think now they're calling themselves the Alternative Government.
Let's just call them the United Opposition and continue. Yes.
So then, you know, they have that group of theirs of what Kenyans may consider tribal kingpins. Yeah. Then now we have this other group that is of Dr. Ekuru. We have the Jimmy Wanjigis who have got a different agenda, which is
Maraga.
There's Maraga as well.
Kigame.
Exactly. Why aren't we seeing that group also trying just to amalgamate votes?
Well,
so
we've been talking. We've been talking. But then what you call united opposition, I think is not united. You know, one of the problems in this country for the longest time is lack of unity in opposition. That's one of the major problems we've had in this country.
Yes, indeed. From 1992.
Yes. Lack of unity.
It took them 10 years to figure out that, look, we can only win if we unite. 10 years.
Exactly. And then the other problem, of course, is that everybody believes I must be the one. You know, even sometimes, you know, I keenly listen to some of the, follow some of this rally. But I really struggle to see what is the message they have passed.
Yeah.
Actually, therein lies the problem. You know, we're asking our problem. I want to introduce a term. It's called cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
When your beliefs, your understandings, your values are constantly in conflict, it's where we are. How is thievery wrong, and yet somebody who comes from my community, his thievery is okay? Conflict. How is it that I'm a Christian who has Christian values, and yet I do not have a problem with somebody with accepting a bribe to vote in a certain way? Conflict. Now, one of the things that our politics has done for us as citizens, it has created this conflict and inconsistency. The 8 million people, they couldn't resolve their conflict, in my opinion. So they were like a deer stuck in a headlight. They figured, hey, the best thing, let me not vote. Okay? Now, how do you get to a point? You said people give up. I actually think it is true, but that is the eventual consequence of a people who are conflicted. We are very, very conflicted. On the one hand, we are Kenyans. When it comes to elections, as you probably put it, we are as tribal as you can get.
Yeah. And the problem I have with those 8 million people, because they are now joining the bandwagon of blaming this government that they never voted in. They never participated in politics, in the choice of the government.
But they're very loud now.
But they are very loud and now feeling the same pain that we who voted actually are feeling. So why do you stay away? Perhaps your vote
would have changed.
Would have changed something. So staying away, for me, is still part of the problem we have.
Actually, it's a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's a big part.
It's a big part of the problem.
Yes.
So,
you know, listening to Dr. here, And then, because we know we've had a conversation here with Jimmy Wanjigi, we've had a conversation with CJ Maraga.
Yes, we have.
Yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, we were here with Boniface Mwangi. And I'm thinking there are these actually awesome alternative great ideas as opposed to what we have been used to from, Kanu.
These ideas, you're opposed to the status quo.
Hey.
You see?
Daktari, what would it take to have...
Kigame and I have had a conversation, and also with Jimmy Wanjigi and
by the way, we also interviewed Kigame. I'm sorry,
and Maraga.
Keep on forgetting, yes.
And for me, it's not lost. Well, we still need to meet up as people who have got alternative ideas for this country. And honestly, I've been personally urging that. Let's meet up. And for example, I remember telling my friend Ruben Kigame, Kigame, if you're going to run for president, I don't have to. Because I believe in your ideals. I see you're a good man. You really want the best for the country.
Right.
Let's not have this competition. I am happy even to go back to law school and still teach law. I've never closed my legal practice. But as long as what of course riles me, Paul, is that I cannot sit back and watch the way people are being lied to. And with all the experience we have, the knowledge we have, I think we must inject our knowledge into how society must be run.
Yeah.
And I think this is, for me, the clarion call, I think, for all of us. It's called middle class, working class people. Let's make a contribution to our country. Because at the end of the day, I feel bad that at my age right now, in my 50s, that I'm being lied to. I shudder to think that my daughters will still be lied to. I have to jealously protect that in the future I would like my children to grow up in a society, in a country where nobody's taking them for granted. Because as guys, look at my friend, for example, Joanna Ngeno, who just passed on the other day, living a young family at a very I think it was 50 thereabouts. It's a very young person, and he was very courageous. And I look and I see one of the problem, like I said, politically in Kenya, is pretense. When Ngeno, for example, was fighting the regime to protect his people from being evicted from the Mau, from Angata, Barikoi, and on all those areas, he was alone. But today the people who are thronging his home, the church, praising him, saying, brother, they never stood with him. And this is the pretense I see in our politics. And therefore, even for us who are saying that I don't want to participate in politics, we are actually sustaining this bad leadership. Because I'll tell you what, Mbuvi.
Yes.
The more we stay away, the more they're happy. If CT doesn't and Mbuvi doesn't get into politics, they don't care. They'll say, wachana now, let them make noise in the Mtandao. Actually, they say that. Let them make noise in Mtandao. Now I'm told, one of the things that President William Ruto is bragging about, that he has got a big war chest. He'll buy everybody. That's on the streets out there.
No, we've also had it.
It's about money. So it's not about really competition in terms of ideas on how we can advance Kenya, transform Kenya, make it a better country. Today, we are being ridiculed. I have had the opportunity to work regionally. We are being ridiculed. Our passports are being given to terrorists, to people committing crimes against humanity. We are hosting warlords, in our state house. It's shameful. It brings into disrepute whether we actually have a foreign policy in this country. What is our diplomacy with the region? Ministry of Interior. How is it that foreigners can be given, our passport, a symbol of our identity? Why is Cheluget still in power? Why is Murkomen still in that position? They should have left long time ago. But what? Because we have a lackluster leadership. They say fish rots from the head.
Daktari, when Kibaki lost a referendum, he should have resigned. He didn't. Okay, so the stage was set.
But you know what the difference?
Tell me the difference.
The difference was Kibaki was not a dictator. Kibaki allowed Kibaki. Wait, City. I participated in that referendum. In fact, I was one of the people who was educating Kenyans on that draft, the Bombers draft. I went round the country as a consultant, and let me tell you, Kibaki never tried to interfere with the referendum. He allowed people to go and vote, and even after they voted, he said, "Fine, people have decided. Come on, buy and buy."
Daktari,
but the problem, Kibaki was not a vindictive person. He was not. And he even allowed his ministers.
He may not have been vindictive,
Yeah.
but he had people who were thoroughly vindictive.
Gentlemen,
But remember, Kibaki also fired some of his closest people.
Actually, he did.
Remember, Nani? Is it? I can't remember.
It's called Mwiraria.
Mwiraria. And even Murungaru and others. He fired them. Those are very close associates of him.
Daktari, you owe us 2 interviews. So what we shall do, because we need to come to an end right now
Yes.
For the next segment. But you owe us 2 interviews. Sasa
Yes.
ni wewe utaamua ile zile siku mbili unakuja. I have so many questions as far as the National Infrastructure Fund is concerned.
Yes.
Apparently, CS
one.
Mbadi lied to us.
He confessed actually there's an affidavit in court.
Yeye mwenyewe alisema ametudanganya. Then of course the Sovereign Wealth Fund and so many other issues.
Yes.
Na sana sana hapo kwa kupunguza mzigo.
Yes.
I think it's time you revive that conversation.
Yeah, people are asking me to revive Punguza Migo, but I'm also challenging Kenyans back. I can bring Punguza Migo anytime, even with the other more radical amendments that will help the country. But I want Kenyans to own it, because before it was saying, hii ni kitu ya Ekuru tu. But but the product was good for the country, not for me.
True.
So if I can bring it, in fact, I wanted to bring it back just before the 2027 elections, that as we go into election, we don't have to spend so much money. Because look, Mbuvi,
Yeah.
do you know we printed our ballot papers for 2017 from a desert country called Dubai that does not even have a forest? Yet we have so many forests here.
We have trees.
In France, it's just a piece of paper. They write the names and say Mbuvi, City, anasimama Ikiti. Then they are selling us those kits, which they don't even use themselves. So we are addressing all that in Punguza Migo and say we don't need that.
All right.
It's gobbling billions of money that we need to channel into health, into food, into security, into infrastructure. Yeah.
Daktari, you're definitely coming back. Na ninaona hata maybe next week.